He left while I waited at daycare, so I mailed his grandmother's ring to her address, without a note. It was 5:17 p.m. when I realized he wasn't coming. Lily's cubby was empty. Her shoes tied neatly, her hair still damp from the afternoon sprinkler play. She clutched her stuffed giraffe and asked, "Is Daddy in the car?" I smiled too quickly. Maybe he's running late, but I already knew. I had felt it that morning. The way he moved through the kitchen like a guest, the suitcase near the door, the text I'd seen on his phone 3 nights ago, half a sentence that read, "I told her it's almost done." There was no fight, no slammed door, no final scream, just absence. Like he had erased himself in advance, slowly, drawer by drawer, as if love could be off-boarded like a job. I drove Lily home in silence. She hummed the tune from her class performance. I watched the rearview mirror. As if he might pull into the driveway behind us. He didn't, the house was still. His shoes were gone, so was his shaving kit, so was the framed photo from our wedding that used to sit on his desk, on the kitchen table. A single envelope, my name written in his handwriting, sharp, deliberate inside. A letter, cold, structured, legal. "I've moved out. I'll send further details through counsel." That was it. Not even a mention of Lily. I didn't cry. I poured her milk, warmed leftovers, gave her a bath. She asked again, "Where's Daddy?" I kissed her forehead. "He's not here tonight." She blinked, accepting it faster than I did. At 9:12 p.m., I opened my jewelry box. It had sat untouched for months. At the back, in the original velvet box, was the ring, his grandmother's. An heirloom passed to me on our 5th anniversary, the one he said carried legacy. It had been his mother's before her, and only women who stay wear it. He'd once joked. I placed it gently into a padded envelope. No card, no name. Just the address from the billing statement I found in his email. Isabel Monroe. She lived in the apartment complex he once claimed was a temporary corporate lease. The post office clerk asked, "Anything fragile?" I said, "Just something that doesn't belong to me anymore." That night, I slept on the left side of the bed, the side I'd given up for him. It felt unfamiliar, like visiting a version of myself I'd left behind. Gibbs he exited without a word, so I responded with silence wrapped in velvet. He promised me steadiness, and I mistook stillness for love. We met at a community fundraiser. He was helping rebuild a park after a storm, sleeves rolled, quiet in the background. I liked that. He didn't chase attention, didn't fill silence with stories. He just worked, and I was tired of noise. Noah didn't sweep me off my feet. He offered me a place to rest them. He remembered my coffee order, fixed my broken faucet. Held my hand in crowds without saying much. I told my friends he's calm, it feels safe. It did. For a long time, we married in the backyard of my aunt's house. Small, intentional. He wore his grandfather's watch. I wore a dress I found on sale and didn't need altering after we said our vows. His grandmother pulled me aside and placed a small box in my hand. Inside, the ring. "Your family now," she said. "The early years were good, predictable. We shared passwords, calendars, lists. We both worked, both tired, both grateful." I remember Sunday mornings when we'd clean, in silence, passing each other like puzzle pieces that always fit. When I got pregnant, we agreed I'd pause my career for a while. He said, "We'll trade roles eventually. I've got us." I believed him. We never spoke of timelines, only trust. Lily was born in winter. He cried when he held her. I'll never forget that. For the first time, I saw him unguarded, vulnerable. He called her our reset. I thought we'd found our center. The first cracks didn't look like betrayal. They looked like distance, less touch, shorter answers. He traveled more, worked later. Said he was tired. I assumed it was stress. The weight of providing. I kept the house running, scheduled Lily's checkups, managed bills, refilled prescriptions, packed lunches, left reminders he didn't read. I stopped asking for help. He stopped offering. We turned into business partners, raising a child. On our 8th anniversary, he forgot, said he'd make it up. I said nothing. The silence between us grew. A new room in the house, one we never entered, but always walked around. I once found a lipstick stain on his undershirt, not red, coral. I hadn't worn that shade since college. He said it was from a restaurant napkin. I nodded. I knew better, but I didn't want confirmation. Not then. He called me reliable. Praised my consistency, but never once said I was beautiful anymore. I began to wonder if he saw me, or just the outline of someone he used to need. Still, I stayed, for Lily, for history. for the hope that the quiet would eventually lead us back to each other. I didn't realize he'd already left. He just hadn't packed yet. Gives I didn't lose him overnight. I lost him slowly, every time he stopped noticing I was still trying. He didn't stop loving me out loud. He just stopped including me in the life he narrated. The first time he came home late without explanation, he walked in with takeout for one. Said he forgot I hadn't eaten. I laughed it off, but I never forgot that box, one set of chopsticks, one curry order, one silence that sat between us at the table. He stopped asking about Lily's milestones. Did she really say that? He'd ask. As if we weren't raising her together. I started sending him updates by text instead of telling him in person. He read them like notifications, not memories. He began showering before coming home. Always, every time. Said it helped him decompress, but I knew his scent and it hadn't been mine in a long time. I found receipts once, dinner for two at a rooftop restaurant I'd only seen online. He said it was a client dinner, the name on the card match. Isabel, not a client, not a friend, not me. He started wearing cologne again. A different one I didn't recognize. I asked if it was new. He shrugged, said it came in a gift set. He didn't say from who. I didn't ask. When Lily got sick, I called him 3 times, no answer. He texted back hours later, sorry, in a meeting. Everything okay, I replied. She threw up all night. He sent a thumbs up emoji. That was the moment I felt something snap. He stopped sleeping facing me, always turned away, arms crossed. Breathing steady, he was still there, but his absence stretched between us like a second body in the bed. His phone never left his hand anymore. Face down on the table, screen dimmed. I stopped trying to guess what he was hiding. I just started documenting when he wasn't looking. He began talking about freedom, abstractly. In conversations with friends, people change sometimes. You grow apart, that's not failure. They'd nod. I'd sip wine and wonder when he'd decided that included us. One day, he came home with a new bag, said it was for travel efficiency. I found a folded shirt in the side pocket, women's. Size small, still smelling like a perfume I never wore. I brought it up, calmly. He denied it. Of course, said it was probably a sample. Then he left the room like the conversation was the problem, not the evidence. Lily began drawing pictures of us, always just me and her. When I asked where Daddy was, she said, he's working. But once she added, he doesn't smile. Like you, I realized then. She saw it too, the erosion, the detachment, the absence. She just couldn't name it, but I could, and soon, I would. Gives he didn't disappear. He faded out, line by line. Until I was the only one still reading. He left while I waited at daycare, and the silence that followed screamed every truth I had tried to avoid. It was a Tuesday, gray and slow. I had texted him that morning, can you pick Lily up today? Staff meeting might run over. He replied, sure, no heart, no warmth. Just confirmation. Still, I exhaled, trusting him. That was my mistake. By 5:10 p.m., the daycare was nearly empty. A few kids still waited, playing with leftover blocks. Lily sat by the window, face pressed to the glass, watching every car that passed. She kept saying, Daddy's car is red, every 5 minutes, hope in her voice. It broke me. I called once, no answer. Then again, straight to voicemail. I texted, are you on the way? Nothing, no read receipt, no dots, just absence, a familiar shape by now, but crueler in that setting. When I arrived, Lily ran into my arms, confused. Daddy forgot, she asked. I kissed her cheek. He had to work, but I knew better. Something in my chest already understood. This wasn't delay. This was decision. We drove home in silence. I unlocked the door with dread, hoping I was wrong, but his car wasn't there. His favorite mug was gone from the sink, and the drawer where he kept his watch and keys sat open. Empty, dustless, prepared. I found the envelope on the counter. Not handwritten. Typed, detached, precise. It read like a resignation letter, not a goodbye. Cold legal tone, no remorse. I've moved out. My attorney will be in touch. Please direct any correspondence through counsel. He left while I was tending to our child, while I was still trusting him to show up. That wasn't carelessness. That was strategy. He wanted no scene, no confrontation, just exit. I stood in the hallway and realized he had planned this, down to the minute. Knew I would be occupied. Knew the house would be quiet when he left. Knew the letter would be the only thing waiting. Lily danced in the living room, unaware. Her innocence made the betrayal louder. He didn't just leave me, he abandoned her rhythm, her routines. Her belief in him as a constant. I checked his location out of habit, gone, phone turned off, no signal. Later, I'd find out he was at Isabel's apartment by 6 p.m. He had moved out and moved in the same hour. I sat at the edge of the bed, ring on my finger like a joke. It burned, I took it off. Stared at the tiny engraving inside, for always, and I held it between my fingers for a long time. Then I found the velvet box, placed the ring inside, sealed it, printed the label, her name, her address, no return, no message. Just legacy returned to the wrong woman gives. He walked away like it was logistics, so I mailed the symbol he thought I'd never surrender. He left with strategy, but I answered with silence that echoed longer than any confrontation ever could. I didn't reply to the letter, I didn't call, I didn't ask why. I knew the answer wasn't about me, it was about convenience. About a man who wanted freedom without facing the image of the woman who built the cage he walked out of. The house became too still that week, not broken, just paused. Like something had been unplugged, but the light still hung on for a moment before fading. I cleared his drawer the same way I used to pack Lily's diaper bag. Focused, efficient, no emotion wasted. I labeled the box, Noah, personal. I left it by the door. He never came for it. My lawyer called 2 days later. He filed separation paperwork. Will respond on your terms. I nodded. Even though she couldn't see me, my terms were simple, no explanation needed, only correction of the narrative. Lily started asking smaller questions. Will Daddy come on Saturdays? Can I show him my drawing? I said. He loves you. I didn't add, but not enough to stay. Not enough to even say goodbye. At night, I lay on the right side of the bed again, my side. The side he used to mock for being too far away. Now, the distance wasn't physical, it was history. And I was done measuring it. I changed my email signature, removed his last name, went back to Hannah Reeve, quiet act, loud meaning. One by one, I began untangling the knots he left behind. At work, I didn't tell anyone. I arrived early, stayed focused, filed documents with more care than usual. It was easier to control paper than people. I canceled our family phone plan, moved the car into my name, closed the joint account. Each task felt like stitching up an invisible wound. One line at a time, I burned the dinner calendar we used to keep on the fridge. His meals were still marked for the week. But they were irrelevant now. I fed Lily what she liked and myself what I'd been too tired to cook. I took down our wedding photo. Not in anger, just in truth. It no longer belonged there. I replaced it with a photo of Lily at the beach, laughing, barefoot, whole. Friends started asking, do you want to talk? I said, not yet, because talking would mean reopening a door I had finally locked. One evening, I found a voicemail from him. We need to talk logistics. That word again. Cold, dehumanized. I deleted it. I wasn't logistics, I was the woman who waited and found the door already closed behind her. Gives he planned his exit, but forgot I would never stand at the threshold begging for explanation. He thought I wasn't looking, but I had already memorized the map he thought he erased. It started with a receipt tucked in Lily's book bag, not mine, not hers. A brunch bill from a cafe across town, dated the same Saturday, he claimed to be visiting his parents. 2 meals, 1 mimosa, 1 chai, neither were his. I checked the address. It was 3 blocks from Isabel's apartment complex, the one I hadn't meant to memorize, but had quietly, precisely. He had gone from hiding to rehearsing. My hands didn't shake. I took a photo of the receipt, filed it under a folder. On my phone labeled patterns. It wasn't rage that moved me, it was confirmation. I wasn't being paranoid. I was being written out. The next day, I logged into the family cloud drive, not to spy, just to close our joint account. But I saw her name in a saved calendar event, Isabel, flight check-in. He had used our shared login to book her a trip. He had done it from the same computer where he once ordered Lily's birthday decorations. The same keyboard I had cleaned, supported, shared. That betrayal didn't sting because of her. It stung because of how casually I'd been overwritten. Digging deeper, I found photos, buried in the auto backup, a wine bar, her hand in his. A blurred reflection in the glass behind them. He smiled in a way I hadn't seen in years. Not because he was happy, but because he was unaccountable. That night, I printed everything, not for revenge, for record, for protection, for truth. I placed them in a file marked custody integrity. Hannah are no confrontation, just preparation. Because if he wanted to fight for Lily, I needed to be sure the court saw what I now saw, a man who abandoned more than a home. He abandoned pattern, presence, parental priority. My lawyer reviewed the documents in silence, then she said, "This will hold." She didn't mean in court, she meant in truth. I nodded, we were done asking for acknowledgement. I found the last proof accidentally. His name on a lease co-signed with Isabel started 3 weeks before he moved out, meaning he had left long before I stood in that daycare line. I was just the last to know. I looked up the ring's tracking information. Delivered, signed. By her, the timestamp made me laugh. She received it while I was cutting Lily's sandwich into triangles. Legacy rerouted. There was no need for confrontation. The facts were already complete. The truth didn't need his confession. It had her signature. Lily asked one day, "Do you miss Daddy?" I said, "Sometimes I miss the version I thought he was." She didn't respond. Just placed her small hand on mine. Gives he moved in with her, but left the pieces of himself where only I knew to collect them. He handed me his absence, so I returned his history, sealed, tracked, and confirmed. The day the ring was delivered, I didn't expect a reaction, but I checked the tracking one last time. Signed by Isabel. I stared at the screen. No note, no return address, just the ring. Just the weight of his legacy, now resting in someone else's hand. My lawyer filed the custody documents that same week. We included timestamps, receipts, calendar overlaps. We weren't cruel. We were complete, and completeness, I've learned, is more painful than rage. He responded through his attorney. Disbelief, discomfort. This is all being taken out of proportion, they said. I replied through mine. This is the proportion he created. Silence followed. I transferred Lily's school contact forms to my name only. Emergency pickup. Me. Medical decisions. Me. He didn't argue. He couldn't. His pattern was already printed in digital ink. One evening, a package arrived at my door. No sender inside. His old hoodie. The one I used to wear on cold nights. The one that smelled like him. I folded it, donated it. Some things don't deserve altars, friends asked. If I wanted to post something, set the record straight. I didn't. I had no record to perform. The truth was enough, and the people who mattered already knew it. I changed my locks, quietly, not out of fear, out of clarity. Closure is also physical. When the key no longer fits, so does the story. I withdrew half our savings, legally mine, transferred it to an account named after my maiden name. Then I deleted the shared banking app, left him to figure out the math he never respected. I left one thing for him in the garage, the moving box he never collected. Labeled, taped, and touched. I added a sticky note, picked up by Friday or discarded with the rest. It wasn't a threat. It was a deadline. Lily stopped asking for him. Not because she forgot, but because she understood. Children feel absence louder than we think. She started drawing pictures of just us. Again, this time, I was smiling. I sent one final message through my attorney, not a plea, not a confrontation. Just a document. Hannah Reeve, full custody consent recommendation. Attached were 3 photos. Lily, our home, her sleeping in the bed he no longer warmed. He didn't respond. But the signature came 3 days later, digital, cold. Binding justice, not revenge. Gifts. He gave her the ring. I gave her the reminder that legacies can be returned without regret. He left what he thought was just a mother, and lost the woman who had been holding up his entire story. I now drink my coffee warm again. Not in rush sips between bottles or while folding laundry, just me, the kitchen window, and the stillness that no longer feels like abandonment, but recovery. Lily wakes with laughter now, no longer asking if Daddy's coming back. She doesn't carry the confusion anymore. Just crayons, storybooks, and the quiet assurance of routine. I go to work earlier than I used to, not because I have to, because I want to. My team sees me, my students hug me tighter. I am present again, not just surviving through roles. No. One thanked me for the room where our wedding photo once hung now holds a mirror. Not symbolic, literal. Every morning, I meet my own eyes before the day begins, and say nothing, because I no longer need permission to be whole. I returned his last name in every space it had occupied, email signatures, forms, accounts. I became Hannah Reeve again, but this time, not as a return, as a reclamation. I kept the envelope copy. The one I sent with the ring. It sits inside my desk drawer, next to Lily's first drawing of just us two. No words, just silence and ink. It's everything that needed to be said. He texted once since the settlement, just, hope you're okay. I stared at the screen, then deleted it. I am not an open tab he can return to. I am not paused, I am closed. Complete. One afternoon, I saw Isabel at a grocery store parking lot. She looked over. Avoided my eyes, I didn't chase discomfort. I smiled, placed my bag in the car, and drove away. She has the ring, I have the story. Our house is lighter now, not emptier, fuller, with music, routines, laughter, no more tiptoeing around silence. No more waiting for shoes by the door that never came. I didn't need to rebuild, just reorganize. My life wasn't ruined, it was redirected, away from someone who abandoned quietly, toward a version of me who doesn't wait at doors anymore. When people ask how I did it, I say nothing. I just show them my daughter's smile, my nameplate on my desk, and the locks I changed on my terms. I didn't get revenge, I got return of dignity, of silence, of self. And now. Every morning begins with peace, the kind no ring ever gave. Me, gives he left while I waited, but I walked away while he still thought I was holding the door.